Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jordan Tobias. I'm with the Foundation for Financial Planning, and I'm also joined by my colleague Rachel Roth, who is our VP of Grants and Programs. And Rachel will be with us today, helping us manage the chat throughout this session. But we are excited that today's webinar is a little unique compared with some of our other typical skills building webinars. So today we're excited to partner with our friends at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC for short, for a training designed for both nonprofit and financial professionals. We know that there are some nonprofits that want to offer high quality financial education, but may not have the time or the resources to develop an entire curriculum from scratch. And we also know that there are financial professionals who want to use their expertise to provide financial education in their communities, but may be looking for strong materials and resources to help them do that. So today is really about bringing the two groups together and introducing a resource that can help. But just a quick housekeeping notes before we move on. Today's session is being recorded, and we'll make the recording available after today's webinar. For those joining us as AFC professionals, we'll provide a AFCPE completion code at the end of the session that you can use to self-report to gain your credit. But I also want to flag that today's session is not eligible for CFP continuing education through the CFP board. But now that we said that, let's get into it. I want to talk a few minutes about FFP and why this work matters, pro bono matters to us. At FFP, we know that millions of Americans need quality and ethical financial advice, but simply cannot afford it or access it. And this is where FFP steps in to help fill that gap. Our goal is to help individuals and families who otherwise would not be able to have access to a financial planner receive the much needed high quality financial guidance. And the people you see on the screen here are the real clients whose lives have been impacted by pro bono financial planning. And then moving on, you may ask, like, how do we do this work exactly? At a high level, we connect financial planners with organizations serving individuals and families in need, again. But our work can be broken down in three main ways. So first, we fund and support these pro bono programs at nonprofits across the country. We provide grant funding, technical assistance, and other resources to help these programs thrive. And then second, we recruit and train CFP professionals to volunteer through our platform called ProBonoPlannerMatch.org, and CFPs can easily find and connect with pro bono opportunities there. And third, we elevate pro bono across the financial planning profession through partnerships, education, and awareness, so that it becomes a more recognized and valued part of financial planning. And then I want to move on to the communities that we're serving. So the map you see here shows where this work is happening, highlighting both FFP grantees and nonprofit organizations currently recruiting volunteers through our platform for their pro bono programs. One reason that this slide is particularly relevant to today's conversation is that in addition to financial planning, financial education is also an important piece of the work that many of these organizations are doing. Many of our grantees, which are the blue dots you see on the screen, incorporate financial education alongside one-on-one financial planning. And those green dots represent nonprofits that are not necessarily our grantees, but they're currently recruiting CFP volunteers through our platform. And some of these organizations, which I'll come back to towards the end of today's session, they're looking for financial professionals who can help them develop and deliver financial education. But moving on, as I mentioned, we have a platform called Pro Bono Planner Match, and it's our free platform where nonprofits post to recruit CFP volunteers, and it's where CFPs can find pro bono opportunities. And I'm only going to touch on Pro Bono Planner Match briefly right now because we're actually going to come back to the platform after the main presentation of today. But I definitely want to talk about how you can use the platform for or to find financial education opportunities. And then actually let me move forward. So beyond Pro Bono Planner Match, we also make sure nonprofits and volunteers have the resources they need to deliver high quality pro bono programs. That includes our 1 hour pro bono financial planning volunteer training, which is eligible for CE credit, our E&O liability coverage for volunteers. Then we also have worksheets, webinars, and other resources for both volunteers and nonprofits. And lastly, we also provide grant funding to help nonprofits create or expand their pro bono programs. And then before I introduce our speakers for today, I want to encourage everyone, especially our CFPs here, to join or help strengthen the pro bono movement. You can sign up for our newsletter, support our mission with a gift or multi-year pledge, or refer nonprofit organizations in your community that could benefit from our resources. If you know of a nonprofit that may be interested in creating a pro bono program, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is here on the screen. If you have questions about volunteering, please reach out to my lovely colleague, Emily Dean, whose information is also listed here on the screen. But with that, I'm thrilled to have Brittany and Hanson from the FDIC join us today for today's session, Building Financial Capability with FDIC's Money Smart Curriculum. Just for a little background, FDIC's Money Smart Curriculum gives organizations a strong foundation for delivering financial education without having to start completely from scratch. And if your organization already has its own curriculum, today can also help you think about ways to supplement or strengthen the materials you're already using. So with that, I'm going to welcome Brittany and Hanson, and I believe we're starting with Hanson, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Brittany, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. So just give me a quick second to share my screen. Let me see. Okay. Can everybody see? Are we good? All right. Move this over here so I can see. All right. So hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so glad you're joining us for this Money Smart orientation on Money Smart for adults and Money Smart for older adults. So before we begin, I want to mention that financial education is at the foundation of FDIC's efforts to expand access to and promote confidence in the banking system. When people understand their finances, they're better able to build strong banking relationships, reach their goals, and improve their overall financial being. For more than 25 years, the FDIC has provided free, objective, high quality financial education tools through our Money Smart program and our other consumer education efforts. So these resources are ready to use right out the box. They're free. And it's making it easy for you to share them with your colleagues, with your friends, family, your communities, and they're flexible enough to customize for different audiences. So again, my name is Brittany Burrows. I am a consumer education specialist here at the FDIC. I serve as a project manager for all of our youth financial education programs. And joining me today is my colleague Hanson Lesconia, who's a senior consumer affairs specialist, also in FDIC's consumer education section. And Hanson will walk us through the Money Smart for older adults curriculum a little later on. So here's what we'll cover today. I'll walk you through key parts of the Money Smart for Adults program so you can get a clear sense of what it offers and how you can use it to support the people in your community. Money Smart, again, is built around relatable, real-life objectives so your participants can see themselves in the material and connect it to their own financial situations. So our goal is to help you feel confident using this tool in ways that truly resonate, with the people that you reach. So we'll talk about the Money Smart for Adults structure so that you become familiar with the 14 modules and its objectives. We'll also talk about the Money Smart for older adults and how it can be helpful to enhance your training. Then we'll talk about how to get started with the Money Smart for Adults, which includes becoming familiar with the training materials, how to use our guide to presenting, and how to deliver a tailored financial education program to meet your community needs. And lastly, we'll take a few questions in a Q&A session. So before I begin, I just want to know, using the chat, how familiar are you all with Money Smart? Are you a rookie? Are you kind of in the know, or are you like a Money Smart pro? Okay, so I can see the chat. I couldn't see it before, but I see, wow, a lot of rookies. Total newbie, not familiar. Okay, I see some that say they're in the know. Okay, okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, let me move the chat up here. Oh, wait, we still have in the know, rookie. Okay, so hopefully you all get to learn, some very helpful materials today. Oh, wait, did I script? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so if you're not familiar, the Money Smart program is a free financial education resource that helps people of all ages build financial skills, and maintain positive banking relationships. So for anyone, and I know a lot of you mentioned that you were new, here's a little kind of refresher. So, Money Smart is a full set of financial education tools designed to be a one-stop resource for learners and educators. So, it includes everything from instructor-led materials to a self-paced financial education game that lets people learn on their own. Again, all Money Smart products are completely free to use. There's no required training. The materials are objective, so there aren't any promotions, there aren't bias, and they're ready to go right out of the box. We offer resources for every age group, and everything is customizable, so you can tailor the materials to fit the needs of the audience you're working with. So on this slide, you can see our full suite of FDIC Money Smart products. So again, programs designed for every stage of life. And we group them into two main categories. So on the left-hand side, you'll find our instructor-led programs. These include our well-known resources like Money Smart for Adults, which we're focusing on today. But we also offer curricula for many other audiences, such as Money Smart for young people, Money Smart for small business, and materials for older adults on scams and fraud prevention, which Hanson will talk about a little later. So all of these resources are designed for people just like you, to use in your neighborhoods, community groups, even with family and friends. Money Smart for Adults is widely used by financial educators, institutions, schools, colleges, et cetera, to help communities build stronger financial skills. And one of the best parts is that you don't need to be an official trained instructor to use Money Smart. Each curriculum comes with a fully scripted instructor guide, participant guides, ready to use PowerPoint slides so you don't have to create your own. Everything you need is already done for you. You just pick it up and get ready to teach. On the right side of the screen, you'll see our free self-paced learning resource, How Money Smart Are You? Which offers, which offers a suite of 14 interactive financial education games that pair perfectly with the Money Smart for Adults curriculum. So if you want, you can scan the QR code to explore or download, or you can just visit our website later on, fdic.gov/moneysmart. Okay, so let's jump into why we're here today. What exactly is Money Smart for Adults? So I want to reiterate, it's free, instructor-led financial education curriculum. It's designed to help adults build practical money skills that they can use right away. It's made to be easy to teach and easy to learn. So excuse me, you're working with like an individual one-on-one or a larger group. Here are the basics. It's a 14 module program that covers key financial topics adults face every day. It gives learners practical knowledge, hands-on skill building activities, and useful tools to manage their personal finances with confidence. Everything is available for download 24/7, so you can access the materials whenever you need it. So to explore our full set of modules and resources, again, you can scan the QR code or you can visit our website and it will take you right to where you can view and download everything. So on this slide, you'll see all 14 modules that make up the Money Smart for Adults curriculum. Each module focuses on a real life financial topic. So no matter what someone needs help with, there's a module that can support them. So if you're working with someone who wants to learn how to create a budget, or improve their credit, or prepare to buy a home, or manage their savings, you'll find it all right here in this curriculum. The modules also cover essential topics like understanding financial products, managing debt, planning for emergencies, and even deciding on whether renting or buying makes sense. So Money Smart, it starts with foundational topics, right? Like how our personal values and experiences shape the way we think about money. And then it builds into practical skills like handling your income and your expenses, using credit cards wisely, and managing your loans. In short, these modules are designed to be applied directly to everyday life, helping adults make informed, confident financial decisions. So, Money Smart for Adults, it's designed specifically for adults or anyone in your family or community, excuse me, who wants to improve their financial skills. We often see it used by adults who have low to moderate incomes, who have limited or no relationships with banks or credit unions, or who are just starting to establish their financial lives, employment, credit history, or who just want to improve their financial situations and feel more confident managing their money. So, but the program is flexible enough to support a wide range of adults in many different life situations. So, this includes adults with disabilities, people starting or changing careers, or managing major life events, right? Like growing their families, recovering from a financial setback, or preparing to buy their first home. Money Smart, it meets people where they are and helps them move forward with practical skills that they can use right away. All right, so let's get into the components of Money Smart for Adults. So as I mentioned before, Money Smart for Adults was created as an out-of-the-box, ready-to-use package. So instructors, they don't feel the need to, to attend mandatory training or have any extensive banking experience to get started. Truly, anyone can teach Money Smart. Each module comes with three main components, and these are the screenshots from Module 5. So first, you get a fully scripted instructor guide that walks you through exactly what to say and do, a participant guide that's filled with interactive scenarios, exercises, and a pre and post survey. And yes, you also get PowerPoint slides for every module that are already prepared for you. So you don't have to go out and create your own. However, you can edit the slides and any of the materials as you see fit to make more appropriate for your audiences. So Money Smart for Adults works great in both classroom and virtual settings. And the participant guides can even be used for participants at home as a personal reference or like a self-study tool. So let's take a deeper dive into each of the three components. So first, I want to talk about the instructor guide. So every instructor guide has the same picture on the cover that the participant guide has, but the one on the instructor guide you'll see is much smaller. So both are easy to differentiate from each other. not only for the way the cover page looks, but also because they say participant guide, and then the instructor guide says instructor guide. But you can see the connection is the picture of the module. So when you open up the instructor guide, there's background information that includes an explanation of understanding the icons that you'll see throughout the curriculum. So these icons give you quick visual cues that help you navigate the information quickly. So as you see on the slide, there are icons for do, which are, pretty self-explanatory actions that you will take as the instructor. Icons for say, which is information you are to share verbally with participants. Ask, questions that you pose to participants. Share key takeaway. This is when you convey the primary message of a section. Lead discussion is when you're expected to facilitate a discussion. Lead activity, when you facilitate an activity. Present information. Then we have take action and closing. This is when you help participants plan their next action steps and apply what they just learned. And then lastly is scenario, is when you use a short story or discussion or activity, to talk about a financial topic. So the instructor guide also comes with a table for you to have an overview of the module content. So here is an example of module 1 from the Money Smart for Adults, where you can see the module at a glance table. So this table shows the sections of the module, the key takeaways for each section, the purpose or objectives of each section, and how long it takes to present each section. You can also see there's an estimate of the amount of time it will take to deliver the entire module. So you can use this table to help you plan which sections you're going to present during a training. And the number of sections vary from module to module. For some modules, the at a glance table will continue on the second page. And I want to mention briefly that this is customizable. So if you notice you don't have 2 hours, for your training, you can pick and choose which sections to include in your training. So here's an example of the prompts in one of the activities that teaches a module. So it's an example of how the icons that I showed you in previous slides are used throughout the instructor guide. And this one, I believe, is from module 9. Yeah, from module 9's instructor guide. So this instructor begins this particular section by asking a question. That's the ask prompt, as you see on the screen. In this case, the instructor is expected to ask, what is a credit score? The do prompt tells the instructor to use a flip chart or a whiteboard to write the responses from the participants. The say prompt provides the talking points for the instructor. As you can see, it's all scripted. The instructor guide shows you exactly what to say. Now, I want to mention these are suggested scripts, but instructors are free to adjust them to their liking or not to use the scripts at all. It's up to you. Also note that the guide provides a picture of the particular slide that you are presenting at that moment, to make sure that you're on the correct slide. So let's talk briefly about the second component, the participant guides. So this is what will be given to those participating in your training. Each of the 14 modules has its own participant guide. So the picture on the slide is example from the participant guide for module 1 titled Your Money Values and Influences. The participant guide includes a contents page, a welcome from the FDIC, which also states the purpose of that particular module, sections covering distinct topics within the module. These include things like a key takeaway, which is the most important information from the section. Each section opens and closes with a key takeaway. Training content with narrative text to provide new information. Realistic scenarios featuring a diverse range of participants who are dealing with different financial decisions. With all scenarios, there are discussion questions or exercises based on the information in that section. And we'll get to look at one of those in a second, excuse me. There are also triads featuring discussion questions or exercises to help participants learn new skills or make new connections. Often, try it have a scenario included within them. And then there are apply it's, which are activities that help participants apply the new concepts to themselves and their situations. So some apply it's can be completed within the training, but some require some information that may not be accessible. The participant guide also includes a module closing section with a table of all of the key takeaways that you've gone over and a take action activity that we've talked about briefly already and where to get more information or help and provide a few follow-up resources. Then comes the pre-training survey and the post-training surveys, which have simple knowledge questions to gauge where participants are before the training and following the completion of the training. Now, keep in mind, the knowledge questions are the same for pre and post. But the post has some additional information to ask about the training itself. So one thing to note when you review the participant guide is that we're aware that the placement of the pre-training survey may seem a little odd. So from the slide and the contents page, it may seem weird that the pre-training survey comes at the end, but we thought it kind of interrupted the flow of the materials less to place them at the end and allow for participants to tear the survey out and hand it to their instructors so the instructor can compare their pre and post surveys. But again, you can restructure it how you seem, necessary. So then the section begins, right? This is an excerpt from Module 1, Section 1, Values and Money. Every section of a module begins with a short statement of what will be covered. As you see, there's a picture, the key takeaway on the side for the section, and then the text begins. On this page, this is an apply it activity named My Values. So participants here can apply what they have learned to their own lives or situations. But however, keep in mind, this is just an example, and not every section will begin with an apply it activity. On this page, there's a try it activity that includes a scenario. Again, this is from Module 1. The scenarios are designed to showcase situations that participants can relate to as quickly and realistically as possible. Every scenario has a picture in the shape of a circle. In this case, after reading the scenario, participants would be prompted by the instructor to answer the questions following the scenario. So also make note of the global features, the section name and number at the top of the page. I know it's kind of small, but that's where they're all located. And don't feel like you have to read the text. We'll go over this scenario in a few. So finally, at the end of every module's participant guide is the pre-training survey that we just talked about. So just try to remember that you're supposed to ask the participants to complete the pre-training survey before your training actually starts. But it's found at the end of the participant guides. It's supposed to make it easier, again, for participants to tear out if needed. So if the instructor intends to collect and track data from these surveys, make sure that you ask your participants to tear it out of their guide, complete it, and hand it in. If an instructor does not intend to do anything with the information, participants can still complete the pre-training and post-training surveys just to see, if they learned anything new during the training. Or as an instructor, you can choose not to use them at all. It's up to you. So I want to give a little bit more information about some of our activities, the try it, apply it, and take action. So again, the try it activities give participants a chance to practice what they've just learned. These might include, realistic scenarios, short exercises, or discussions that, allow them to test out the concepts in a low pressure way. Apply it, again, help participants take the next step by applying what they just learned to their own lives. Again, these tools can be used during the session or afterwards, or kind of like as homework, just to help participants think about their personal finances, decisions, and goals. During our field testing, actually, many participants shared that these activities made them feel like they were already starting to make positive changes in their lives right there in the training. So, and finally, each module ends with a take action section, which encourages participants to choose simple, practical ways that they can start working immediately. So I've been talking a lot. I've given you a lot of information. Um, let's kind of take a quick pause and try one of our try it activities together, right? So I have the scenario up on the screen, but I'll read it. So Valentina and Isaiah recently received their tax refund and can't agree how to use it. Valentina put herself through college by working 30 hours a week on top of a full course load. She still has some student loans. Her mother is struggling to make ends meet. Valentina would like to give her mother most of their tax refund to use as a security deposit to move into a new apartment. She wants to use the rest to continue paying down her student loan debt. Isaiah's parents helped him with college expenses with money they saved over the years. He graduated with minimal loans and paid them in full a few years before he and Valentina met. He would like to put most of their tax refund into the savings accounts they've set up for their three children. He wants to use the rest to take a nice family vacation. He just wants to spend some quality time with his family. So, based on this information, using the chat, what values are influencing Valentina versus what values are influencing Isaiah? So just take a quick, few quick minutes and think about that. Okay, I see somebody said family. Family for who? For Valentina? Her money mindset. Okay, security. Okay, Valentina, security and safety. Okay, I can see that. Isaiah values saving. Okay, they both value family. Isaiah's is family and legacy. Okay, family, both. Family for Valentina, personal for Isaiah. Interesting. Okay, I see long-term wealth. I see housing. I would be in Vegas. I know that's right. I wish I could be in Vegas right now. Savings is important. Okay, Isaiah values security. They both value family and securing the future. Okay, so I think both there aren't any wrong answers, right? Valentina values definitely include family, showing her gratitude, right, to her mother and independence by paying down some debt. Isaiah's values might shift a little bit more to quality time with family, education, and providing opportunities for his children. So yeah, you guys were right on. Okay, and so briefly, we'll talk about the third component of each module, the PowerPoint slides. Um, every module has a complete set of slides that can serve as visual aids for the training and highlight the key points. Many of the slides include pictures and they're referenced in the instructor guide in two ways. So the first is that it will actually say show slide 3 or whatever the appropriate number is in the text flow in the instructor guide. The second is a thumbnail of the slide that you're supposed to be showing. This will help you keep track when you are delivering the training in your communities. And so now I will pass it over to my colleague Hanson, who will give us some information about the Money Smart for Older Adults curriculum. All right, you ready,
Great.
Hanson?
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate that. As Brittany said, I'm Hanson Lasconia. I am the lead for Money Smart for older adults, but also senior writer for FDIC's consumer news publication. Brittany will talk to you a little bit about that a little bit later. Again, it's a product that's close to my heart because it meets consumers where they need to be and gets them great financial tips. Also, a co-liaison to the Financial Literacy and Education Commission as well, coordinating with FDIC's efforts and other agencies for financial education. But we're here to talk about Money Smart for older adults. If you look at the QR code in the middle and scan it, it'll take you to the Money Smart for older adults, or MSOA, materials that we co-authored with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So this is a collaboration between the FDIC and between the CFPB. So what is MSOA, or Money Smart for older adults? As I mentioned, it was created in partnership with our colleagues at the CFPB. The primary goal here is to help older adults, along with their caregivers, those caring for older individuals, recognize, prevent, and respond to financial exploitation. What we definitely know in 2026 is that fraud prevention and scam prevention is also financial education as well. So MSOA, we offer different tools and information that support advanced planning and also inform financial decision making for this age demographic, and it's appropriate for them. MSOA, it's designed for our older adults in mind, and the lessons and resources are valuable for anyone who wants to protect themselves from frauds and scams. Again, like we said, financial education in 2026 is also fraud prevention. As we mentioned, either that QR code from that either scanned, or you can actually go to www.fdic.gov/Money Smart if you want to download the individual components. Again, as Brittany was talking about, any of our curriculums can be customized, mixed and matched depending on the needs and timeframes that you have available for what you're trying to deliver. Similar to what Brittany covered with Money Smart for adults, Money Smart for older adults, MSOA, also includes its three main components as well. An instructor guide that provides detailed directions, scripts, stage notes for the trainer, a participant workbook featuring fillable PDFs so folks can interact with the materials, that they walk learners through an activity. One of them, for example, is creating a budget, and it helps with also the calculations that need to be completed. Then there's also a PowerPoint presentation that aligns directly with the instructor guide itself. It's helpful to note that each of the 10 topics that we have within MSOA take anywhere between an hour and just under 3 hours to deliver. So we talked about how our materials can be brought anywhere. We'll give you an example here. We have a banker who heads up a fraud prevention department at her institution. She literally took MSOA out to the community she serves, specifically to a senior living facility where she is delivering MSOA to residents there at that facility. The individual is Stacy Walter from Bank Midwest, and I believe this is out in Minnesota. Let's see. So I'm going to hand it back to Brittany, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some tips on even doing our presentations.
Thank you, Hanson.
Thanks, Brittany.
So now we just talked about the benefits, the structure, the features of Money Smart for adults and older adults. And now you're thinking, okay, this sounds great, but what if I really want to use this curriculum? Where do I start? And that's exactly what we're going to focus on over the next few minutes. So I'm going to walk you through some key steps that you should consider, right, to get you up and running with the curriculums quickly, with confidence, and in a way that works for you and your audience. So let's get to it. All right. I want to talk about a tool that is going to make your life a whole lot easier if you decide to use our Money Smart for Adults. So the curriculum comes with a guide to presenting. And this document is the implementation manual, right, of Money Smart for Adults. It's your go-to playbook. So this guide is actually something that you would want to download and read right at the beginning of your process when you start planning your training sessions. The guide to presenting includes all the information you need to prepare, plan, and deliver our Money Smart for Adults. And I promise it's going to help save you a lot of time. So the guide to presenting includes suggestions on how to prepare your training sessions, tips to delivering an effective and engaging training, including options for introductory activities, information on supporting participants with disabilities, and making your training accessible and welcoming to all audiences, and just a wide variety of tools for training so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So including things like example text for promoting your training, an example registration form and training attendance roster, information on adult learning principles, and training roadmaps, which is my favorite part of this document. And so if you're wondering, what is a roadmap? Well, many instructors, and I wish I had an example in this presentation to show you, but we just didn't have time. Many instructors are just not sure where to begin, especially with 14 modules. You're thinking, do I have to teach them all? Do I have to teach them in order? If not, what order do I teach them? And that's where I think the roadmaps really come in and are handy. So we identified specific groups of interest based on common life stages, situations, or particular financial goals or challenges. And we created these roadmaps, right, which are a recommended sequence of modules that you can use right away. So, for example, for people looking to buy a home, there's a roadmap for that. So it will say, okay, people looking to buy a home should start with section 2 of module 1, and then maybe move to section 4 of module 6, So it puts together like a custom order of material for you to teach to achieve that particular goal. And if you're looking, the roadmaps are flexible. They're just examples. And if none of them fit quite to your needs or your audience, the Guide to Presenting has a tool for you to create and build your own roadmap. You see, so next step after, reviewing that is to becoming familiar with the training materials. Download the instructor guides and see how they interface with each other, as well as the slides. Get familiar with the topics and the script. Instructors should also consider customizing the materials to fit the need of your audience. You should also consider how to prepare the classroom or if the class is going to be virtual. And then elevate different options and select the best platform as well as the materials and equipment to conduct the training sessions. So the Guide to Presenting actually provides a list of the most commonly used materials and equipment. And last but not least, review the training tips provided in the materials and consider the different learning styles of your audience. Oh, there we go. Okay. So how do you go about delivering this training? Instructors can use the presentation strategies contained in the Guide to Presenting. Here you will find those introductory activities, announcements and housekeeping issues, strategies to encourage discussions and participation, just to ensure participants with different ideas still feel welcome and feel valuable. Make training appropriate and accessible for individuals that need special accommodations. And at the end of the training, it's important that you provide time for participants to think about how they will take action. It's also important that you consider just implementing different training methods, techniques, and group dynamics that are suggested in the guide. As you can see, all of these strategies and tools are provided as part of the training materials. So here's a list of additional tools for trainers. So we have a train the trainer video for each of the modules, which is available on our website. We also have something called a scenarios for financial inclusion, which is a supplement for instructors that just provides some ideas to make the training, relevant and welcoming for all participants. And so here is also a list of the different appendices contained in the Guide to Presenting Money Smart and their respective tools. So when you have a moment before preparing for your training, just take some time and review some of these tools. So before we continue, I'm going to go into some other helpful resources. I just wanted to take a quick pause here for a moment to hear from you. If you have time, take our quick survey and just let us know what you thought of our training so far. I do also have a link that I can put in the chat. If I can find the chat. Hold on, let me see if it'll pop up for me. Oh, oh, there it is, chat. Okay. Everyone, and then I'll go ahead and finish wrapping up. Okay, I just have 3 more slides. All right, we're good. Okay, and so I'm going to briefly go over a few other resources that may be helpful to you. One of them being, I'm checking my watch, one of them being How Money Smart Are You? Which is a free self-paced online suite of 14 different games that basically teach financial topics in a simple, fun, and interactive way. It's the exact same modules as the Money Smart for Adults. They're written in plain, easy to understand language. As you play and learn, you can earn a certificate of completion. And the best part is organizations can create accounts to track the progress of their participants. So say you don't have time to sit and teach an instructor-led classroom-based class, you can create an organization account and then assign your participants, to go and create player accounts and link their player accounts to your organization account so you can track, their progress as they go on and learn the games and the materials on their own. Again, everything I mentioned today is free and accessible online. As Hanson mentioned earlier, we also have 2 monthly publications that you can subscribe to. The first one is our Money Smart News, which is on the right-hand side. This is intended for Money Smart instructors. So it features tips, updates, success stories, and other helpful things for educators. And then we have the FDIC Consumer News on the left-hand side. Is that? Yeah, on the left-hand side. I had to check. And this is our monthly or quarterly newsletter to consumers. It provides practical guidance on how to become a smarter, safer user of financial services. So it provides helpful hints, quick tips, common sense strategies, et cetera, et cetera. And before I end, I just wanted to know if there were any questions, that I could help answer before I hand it back over to Jordan and Rachel.
I think there's like a few questions we can cover and then Jordan will speak and then we can have more questions if we have time. We had a few, how often is the curriculum updated or in the resources updated?
Oh, that's a great question. So unfortunately, we're a small but mighty team of 6 people. So we don't right now have a regular schedule. We're trying to develop them. However, I can say that the Money Smart for young adults was the most recently updated in 2022. Our Money Smart for small business is just finished being updated, but it's not yet released and hopefully will be released by the end of the year. Hanson, I feel like I'm missing something.
So on MSOA, last time I believe was 2021, but the Bureau and we're in talks on what we can do to bring it to 2026. So stay tuned.
Thank you. And then a few questions about some of the content. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because people can look through the resources online. But in terms of resources on student loans and financial trauma, are those covered in the presentations?
So I'll speak to student loans really quickly, and then maybe Hanson, you can talk about
Sure.
the financial trauma. Student loans are covered very, at a high level in the Money Smart for Young Adults curriculum.
Thank you.
So in MSOA, because it's the curriculum that is fraud centric so it talks about the issues surrounding elder financial exploitation. So the psychological pieces from that are covered because that is the most pertinent for that demographic.
Thank you. Yeah, and then things like medical emergencies and natural disasters, job loss, those are covered too, even though they might not be under the category of financial trauma. So I just wanted to point that out as well. Jordan, do you wanna talk and then we can go back to some questions?
Yeah. Brittany, if you can just stop sharing your screen and then Rachel will pull up our slide deck. But thank you so much, Brittany and Hanson. That was like really helpful. And I think you gave everyone a great overview of not only what's available through the Money Smart, but also how everyone can begin putting the resources into practice. And we've heard from our community time and time again, that's what they wanted. So I'm glad we were able to deliver on that. But I just want to take a few minutes to bring us back to something I introduced at the beginning, which is Pro Bono Planner Match, and show our nonprofit partners that are on with us how they can use the platform to recruit CFP professionals to help them develop and deliver financial education. And then I'll also show our CFPs how they can find financial education opportunities and put what they just learned into practice. But as I mentioned earlier, we have ProBonoPlannerMatch.org, and it's our free platform that connects nonprofit organizations with CFP professionals who want to volunteer and provide pro bono financial planning. We have more than 300 nonprofits on our site and more than 3,000 CFPs across the country registered on our platform. And while we often talk about Pro Bono Planner Match as a way to connect with volunteers for one-on-one planning sessions, it's not the only way you can use the platform. You can also use it for your financial education opportunities. So, Rachel, we can move to the next slide, please. For nonprofits joining us today, you can also use the platform to find volunteers who can help develop and deliver your financial education to your community. If you don't already have the curriculum, which we just learned about, you don't have to ask a volunteer to start completely from scratch. You can reference the FDIC Money Smart curriculum directly in your volunteer listing and ask volunteers to use it as a starting point to customize and customize the materials for the populations you serve. And of course, some nonprofits already have their own financial education curriculum, and that's great too. You can use Pro Bono Planner Match to find the CFP who can either help strengthen or just deliver the materials you already have. And then for our CFPs joining us, if financial education is something you really enjoy, there are opportunities for you as well. In fact, on the right side of the screen are just a few opportunities currently listed on our platform where nonprofits are looking for volunteers to help deliver and provide that financial education. And each of these listings, in fact, recommend using the Money Smart curriculum as a starting point. So again, you don't have to start from scratch. And then what I also want to point out is that these particular opportunities on the screen don't just stop at education. These nonprofits are also looking for volunteers to provide a follow-up one-on-one financial planning to those who attended the workshop. And that's something we see across our nonprofit network. Many of the organizations will use education to introduce important financial topics, and then provide opportunities for clients to meet one-on-one with the financial planner, who can help them apply what they just learned to their own financial situation and develop a plan. So if there's one point I want to leave you all with today is that financial education tends to be a gateway to pro bono financial planning, which is something we're all about. And the Money Smart curriculum can give organizations just a strong foundation for delivering that education. But we can move on to the next slide. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. And a huge thank you to Brittany and Hanson for partnering with us on this session. Before we sign off, I want to make sure our AFC professionals get the completion code. Your code is FFP26. Again, it's on the screen and it's FFP26, and you can use this code to self-report to gain your CE. And then as a reminder, today's session is not eligible for CE credit from the CFP board. But again, thank you so much for spending your time with us today, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and we will see you at the next webinar. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.